Well, still good morning. As Marius told in the beginning, it's always difficult to start at the beginning, but it's also difficult to start at the end because everyone is looking for the break to have a coffee or have a cigarette or making some phone calls. So I try to make it as interactive as possibly and guide you through my presentation, which has the title Cross-Border Cooperation. Well, I think one of the things I learned from the previous speakers is that there are so many developments in the different markets that there is absolute need for cooperation. If you only saw what Marius presented about the uninsured market or the uninsured drivers in the European area, which costs the market over €1 billion of claims. And there are a lot of developments in combining registration of vehicle plates and connect that with the obligation to insure. I think there's a lot to win in the market, and that can only be done through cooperation and sharing of knowledge together and learn from best practices. And I think the Council of Bureau is playing an eminent role in achieving that. I will guide you quickly through, although we have heard a few things about the cross-border motor claims very briefly, but just as a quick update. Then I will have a few information on data protection and privacy regulation in the EU, although those are two topics which, let's say, would justify a topic in itself, but given the time strain, I only will briefly touch them. The same counts for fraud, and in the afternoon, the Dutch company Fris will go more deeper into the fraud detection and the fraud measures. So we'll only briefly will mention them. And then the last part is about, from an insurance perspective, I've worked for ING Insurance for 11 years, so I have also been on that side of the table. So I looked at from the insurance level, okay, what kind of things you should take into consideration when you're deciding who to partner and how to partner in cross-border motor claims management. Well, this is the credit cards system. Actually, I think it was one of the first European regulations that came into place. And as Marius mentioned, it started already in the beginning of the 1900s. The Scandinavian countries and the Swiss said we need to organize something. People started to travel. And actually, on the 1st January 1953, the first version of the green card system came in place with the internal regulations and only has been expanding with new member states in the years. Also notice that Marius mentioned that there are 46 members. I checked this morning the official website of the Council of Bureau, and actually it's mentioning 47. So Marius, I'm doubt, do we miss a country somewhere? But well, or perhaps already the 47 country, the new member is, let's say, already mentioned there. And as you see, the Council of Bureau is the overseeing umbrella organization which coordinates all the different national motor bureau systems which are attached to the green card system and covering now more than 2,000 insurers and covering more than 47 countries, both in Europe, but also North Africa, and Morocco and Tunisia are a member of that, and the Middle East. The total number of cross-border traffic accidents, according to the statistics which is being released by the Council of Bureau in 2012, are reporting over 355,000 vehicles with foreign registration plates in the respective countries. I think the overall trend, what we see there, we look in the previous years, is that the number of cross-border accidents is declining. That has several reasons. Of course, the economical reason, of course, kicked in there, and mobility, economical mobility decreased, and there was less traffic on business side, less goods to be traveled from one country to another country, so that played an eminent role in that as well. But then, on the other hand, there were mankind's innovations which led to a decrease of number of cross-border accidents, and also on the national markets. You see road safety measurements that are taken by local governments, increased and improved road traffic information if you're driving with your car with a GPS system in your car. If there's somewhere a traffic jam, it will guide you around it in order not to avoid that you are standing there. So which helps, let's say, to reduce the number of accidents in regards to that element. Manufacturers are putting all kind of new innovative technologies in cars, like a park lane distance, keep your own line distance. Cars automatically stop when you're hitting your one of your road users too close. So in that way, also the manufacturers, the car manufacturers, are reducing the number of accidents involved, and that is mainly due to mankind. According to the green card system, the correspondent or the representative in the Fourth Motor Insurance Directive is the full range of defender on behalf of the insurance company. That means the correspondent is the company, the representative is who accepts or denies the liability in the case of a cross-border accident. And that's the basic legal principle of having the mandate of the foreign MTPL insurer to start with. Of course, appointing a correspondent abroad as an insurer and a representative on the Fourth Motor Insurance Directive, of course, is not something that you go to the motor insurance bureau and you said, okay, well, I need to have a correspondent in the Netherlands. Who can you advise, or who should I pick? And you just go through the list and said, okay, well, let's try this one. Now, a good cross-border claims management corporation needs further investigation, discussions, and to integrate targets, structures, procedures, especially also on the financial side and the compliance side, in order to have a strong and good, reliable foreign correspondent, because they are acting on your behalf in your interest towards your client and with your money. So putting an effort in arranging that is of eminent importance. And of course, what we see already with the different systems, like what I explained in Russia and in Turkey, in that sense, you already see how complicated it is. So in order to have a good understanding with regards to that compliance issues, is that you need to work with the partners who focus completely on this international cross-border traffic accidents in order to have a good result in your books at the end of the year. And as in the initial speech of Mario said, it's about the profitability. There's a price war. So yeah, to having control on this element is of course of eminent importance. Well, we spoke briefly about in the previous discussions, and also we heard that Russia has implemented the direct settlement procedure as of 2009. Turkey is thinking about it. It has certain advantages, it has certain disadvantages depending on, let's say, from whose perspective you're looking. But you see that the map on the European area is very fragmented. You have certain countries who have the possibility, but also a large number of countries who don't have that element. So that also shows still how fragmented the market is, and that you have to take into account all these different procedures. Before I go there, very briefly, if you look at the total number of claims, as I showed in the beginning, in the first page, it's 350,000 total claims with a foreign license plate, restricted. Who would you say, which is the largest country with regard to the number of claims within the green card system? Anyone has a guess? No? Best guess? Well, it's Germany. Germany is the country where the majority of those 355,000 claims occur. Who would be the runner-up after Germany? Not quite. Austria is in the top 5, but it's France, then followed by Italy and Austria. These actually are the numbers based on the accidents which occurred in the country involving registered land vehicles from abroad. And well, you see that Germany takes quite a significant amount of that. And that, of course, in itself is not that different. Germany is, let's say, in more or less in the center of Europe. It's a large country, so it's a typical transition country from east to west and from north and south. And if you drive on the roads in Germany, you see many foreign plates traveling around there. Also, the UK is listed on the top 5. I also looked at here in the region, the CE region, to see what is the ranking in the top 5 there. And there it's Poland. Marius, your country of origin, who ranks the numbers with the majority of the foreign traffic accident. And also that in its sense is not that, let's say, strange in that sense that Poland is close to Germany, also in the center of the European area. So, and also a typical transition country from north to west and from east to south. Also looked at Turkey, not in the top 5, but Turkey had, Ismail, and correct me if I'm wrong, in 2012 around 2,500 foreign claims registered in Turkey with foreign vehicles. Well, this is a brief overview of the top countries involved with some numbers, just as a reference. Coming back from where I started from, looking from an insurance perspective and selecting your cooperation agreement partners, how would you look from this angle? And one of the criteria is that you look, okay, what are the top countries from my perspective with regards to the number of vehicles? Because there, it's the majority of the claims coming from the countries involved. It's where my clients are being exposed, and it's my financial exposure. So looking at that is one of the requirements which will come in the last chapter with regards to how to select a cooperation partner and what criteria do you look at it. I took the same countries, so the top 5 list, and looked, let's say, where those vehicles were registered and where they were coming from. And you see, I will not go through each of them in detail, but you see for Germany it's France, Switzerland, Netherlands, Austria, Poland, Romania. Also there, it's a quite obvious thing where you can start from, because the majority of your claims will come from your surrounding countries. Because there where you see most cross-border activities, a person who is living in Belgium goes for a weekend to Luxembourg, or has a second home in France, or will go to the Netherlands for some shopping, or will go to Austria for skiing. So that is quite, I would say, if you look at the countries there on the top 5, it's quite normal. The different thing, and it's an interesting thing, is that you look at the CE region, you see another element, another analysis. It's not only the countries which are close related or the neighboring countries, but you see also there is quite a significant number of Western European countries who then hit the top 5 or the top 6 list with regards to foreign accidents involved. So that means for those countries there's more involvement and more mobility from also West European countries into those markets. So again, I showed you this overview in order to get you the attitude with regards, okay, when you're starting your cross-border cooperation and you're going to select partners, what is one of the criteria I should be looking at? Well, this I think is one of the criteria. Look at where the majority of your claims are exposed, because that's where the majority of your work and your money and your clients will be exposed to. Well, this is a map. I could not find a more updated map, but this is coming back from 2008. And this describes a little bit the mobility of all people moving around in the different European area, where they're going, where they're coming from, and that you see that there's a lot of mobility going on from different markets, and it can with regards to working, it can be with regards to trading and investment. So also from that perspective, it's good to look from your own country perspective and look with your foreign department, what is the mobility of citizens of your country, where are they moving to, where they're going to live, in order to be prepared and to have a clear picture where, let's say, your focus should be on. Okay, that was with regards to the introduction of the green card system, how it works, and with regards to some of the developments with regards to the numbers of accidents. I said very briefly, although these two topics, I would say, will justify a separate presentation itself, but given time strain, I will limit myself to some of the main lines. On the data protection and the privacy regulation, we see an increased effort and an increased intention with regards to European regulation. On the data protection, there is the EDPS, which stands for the European Data Protection Supervisor, who's getting more and more control with regards to data protection. What is happening with the data from our clients? Where is it shared? With whom is it shared? Where is it stored? And what is the use of all the data being in the hands of the insurance market? It was founded and started 1st January 2004, so it's celebrating its 10th anniversary in the meantime. And they have three main tasks, which is control, advice, and cooperation with other data protection institutions. And each member state have its own data protection officer who was liaised to this regulation, which is based also in Brussels. They look at different elements. They look at health status, health information, employment situation, and security issues of one of the top elements. And all EU citizens have a complaint right, and complaint procedure is in place. So when there's a breach of confidentiality, and you can imagine working on a cross-border motor claim on a bodily injury side and sharing information on the health situation of the victim or your client and sending that by email with copying several persons who are involved or you want to have involved in that process. Where is that information going to? Where is it stored? Who have access to that information? These elements will become more and more important. And what we have seen in the past, that information on the bodily injury claims were shared quite easily. Fax were being sent to an office, it was printed, perhaps left somewhere on the desk. Security people came in, cleaning people came in. You never know what happened there with regards to all that information. And what we see in the European Union is more and more these elements will play a key role. So also in that respect, looking at your cooperation model and your partners, also pay attention to this compliance issue and ask questions about what's happening with the data and what's happening with the privacy regulation. Even will mean that with certain markets, you have to comply to that rules. It means that your procedures have to be adjusted according to that country. Most recently, there was given special advice on for example, the whole situation in regard to SWIFT, that's the electronic banking side, but also on the e-privacy guideline for electronic communication. Well, that's an example we just mentioned, e-communication of bodily injury files which are going through the email. Also, they recently gave advice on a Court of Justice hearing in the Bavarian lager case. Probably you've heard about it. It's about using the name of Bavarian as a lager, as a beer, and that was in connection with transparency and data protection. The last part is the cooperation with Eurodac with regards to sharing the responsibility. Between local data protection authorities. So you see there also on the local side, data protection authorities are working together, but also aligned with Eurodac, which is also a European regulator in that sense. So more and more this area will become under supervision, and we spoke earlier about the regulator and the supervision. I think this is a clear example where we're heading to.
Excuse me, Cees, it's 50 minutes already passed.
Okay. Well, then we will speed up. I will not go too much into detail because of this afternoon presentation with Fris. But as earlier said, with regards to fraud, look at two elements, not only on the claim side, but it starts, of course, on the underwriting side. How many, and that example, total loss cars have been put back into the market and just go from one insurer to the other insurer? Do you have a secure database, or does the country has a database with regard to sharing this kind of information together? On the claim side, of course, there are specialist groups, fraudsters, and then you have to look into your system with regards to, do we get the same kind of mobile numbers? Do we get the same kind of witnesses in different files with different insurers? And that, of course, can be done through a centralized data management support system. Also looking at vendors with garages, example in Switzerland, where there was an audit performed and where it appeared that one of the garages, one of the preferred body repair shop, was adding constantly 15% on top of the regular invoices. You don't find that normally, but of course, when you have the system in place who run on the backside the mathematics, you will get this out. And of course, digital pictures that being scanned, which today is quite a common technique to send information electronically. With photoshopping, dates of the invoice can be changed, the amount of the invoices can be changed, and you need to have measures in order to detect these kind of fraud. But of course, in the majority, there's a lot of coincidental fraudsters. Okay, last 5 minutes, although a lot of things already have discussed. Who is entitled to handle cross-border claims? That actually are three bodies, institution, that's the Motor Insurance Bureau itself, It can give delegated authority to external service providers, and of course the insurance companies themselves are handling the claims. As said, selecting a cross-border partnership elements are important. I mentioned a few of them. Look at the quality, of course, that's where it starts. Look at your main countries where they're involved, but also look at your finance management. What kind of financial structures you have implemented, also to apply to your local regulatory compliance, but also to avoid enormous fluctuation in your working capital. Data protection we have discussed. Is there internal audit structures in place, not only into the service provider, but also, of course, to the external vendors, as the example with the garage had showed. We already discussed that. Okay, a little bit on the vendor management as the last element. With regards to if you're able to assess a full vendor management, you have that in place probably in your own country where you have these kind of cooperation elements in place, but your clients, as we see, are traveling outside your country. And then you have to look at all the different service providers that can be involved, from technical experts, medical experts. In certain countries, it's obliged to have an accidental investigator. You can have external lawyers, for example, in the UK. There can be a criminal element involved, so you need to be aware of that. Body repair shop networks. Look at the SLAs that are in place with regards to the vendors. The auditing we already mentioned, but also look at the cost. Is it reasonable? What kind of costs are being charged as external costs? What is the payment structures? Do we pay in advance or do we pay afterwards? The quality and, of course, the communication. I will not go into this. I want to just show you one example because of time constraints. This is an example of with regards to a vendor management situation where in the UK, in the third-party, cross-border third-party liability, you're entitled to rent a car, credit hire. And there you see, in this case, that the claims notification only came in 3 weeks after the accident. And the confirmation from the insurance cover, from the insurance company, only came in 7 weeks after the accident. Well, and there, in total, the repair compensation took 8 weeks, and then you see that in total you're ending up with 159 days of credit hire, which amounts to 120,000 British pounds. So, in that sense, you see that proactiveness there in order to reduce that cycle will save you enormous amount of cost, which relates to the time.